So here come the cows. Just got them in the paddock. They're starting to nibble on some grass. Thought they would kind of roam a little bit more, check out this paddock and how much area they have. But they've been in here before. They know this land. They may not realize yet that they only have 1.3 acres, but they'll figure it out pretty quick. There they go. Now they're gonna go check it out. They're gonna go check out and see just how much they got. I am glad that I waited to graze this. I was gonna try to graze this about a month ago, but if you'd watched my other videos that I put out before, we just hadn't got enough growth on the grass yet, and I would not have got very many days out of it. But the way this grass is taking off now, there should be plenty of grass in here to last them at least 5 days. These aren't full-grown cows. There's one full-grown cow in there, a 4-year-old cow, but the rest of them are just steers and heifers. More heifers than steers, but so they're not going to eat what a full-grown cow would eat. This grass gets pretty thick down in here. There's a few weeds in here and there. I tell you what, there used to not be hardly a single weed down here. But my neighbors see where that tree line is across the fence, and about to where those other trees are over there. They started cropping that about 4 or 5 years ago. And the first year that they cropped it, actually about the first 2 years they cropped it, the weeds were so tall that you couldn't even see the crop. The weeds were about 4 to 5 foot tall in there. And just so happened that when they decided to combine it, the wind was blowing straight over here onto our farm, so I can't imagine all the weed seeds that came over here. And since then, there's been some weeds pop up here and there, down here, really all over the pasture. But you know, the native grass far outweighs the weeds, so I'll live with it. These cattle will take care of it in time. One weed I've been seeing a lot, you could call it a weed or you could call it a grass, but is this little barley right here. The cattle will eat this when it's young. And even at this stage, they'll still eat on it a little bit. But I've had quite a bit of that popping up here and there. And really the only thing I can attribute that to is maybe this field over here brought it over. Another thing, sometimes it seems like every couple years, every 2 or 3 years, there will be some kind of new weed that pops up. And it'll be in the pasture for a couple years, and then it'll just kind of start to phase out. So, you know, the land kind of goes through these cycles, these various types of weeds. They may be here for a couple years, and then they all of a sudden may just vanish. and something new will come up. But you know, we can't take care of all the weeds. I don't spray this pasture anymore. I did spray it for a couple years. That was a mistake. I hate chemicals on my land anymore. I'll never spray another pasture. It's just terrible for the environment. Terrible for our health and the health of the land and the soil and the water source. But you can see these cows are down here, and look at that steer there. He don't care if there's some weeds down here. He's just eating the tops off of them right now. I tell you what, like I've said before, I've been trying to train these cattle to eat what's in front of them. And from the last herd of adult cattle that I had to this herd here, I've really quit babying them, and you can really tell a difference. These cattle are not picky. And they've learned to eat what they have in front of them. Look at those two heifers there. I don't know what kind of weeds those are, but it doesn't seem to be slowing her down. They're eating on them just like they would regular grass. But there is a lot of grass down here too. I mean, they're gonna be happy in here for quite a long time. And same with this whole 7.4 acres. Letting this rest down here this spring, not getting grazed, all the rain, and now the warm weather that we've got, the native grass is really taking off right now. That native grass needs some warm weather to really get going. Sometimes when you have a cold, really wet spring, you get a lot of rain, but you don't get a lot of growth on your native. And that's because that native grass really needs about 75 degrees or more to start really taking off. There's some clover in here too, guys. I didn't plant this either. It's just popping up down here in this corner, this white clover. All in here. That's kind of cool to see. In a pasture full of native grass, there just happens to be a clover down here in this corner. I've seen some clover in a few other different areas in the pasture, but not this thick. Not as thick as this clover down here. Well guys, I think I'm gonna go measure some grass in some various spots before these cattle knock it down. That way I can kind of keep track of actually how much grass they're eating. So I'm gonna sign off, guys. Have a good evening, and I'll keep you updated. And I'll see you on the next move.